And I'd like to welcome Daniel Harding from the stage to talk about the findings from our remote working chapter. Things are moving so quickly that this wasn't in our first 2 reports, but it's become such vital information to understand how the industry is approaching work from home. So please welcome Daniel from Max Contact.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, James. Yes, my name's Daniel from Max Contact. That is an up-to-date photo, so at least I've done one thing. We partnered a couple of years ago with James and the SMAART team to go through the remote working section. This is highly anticipated section. It's the first one since 2019 that hasn't been affected at all. Unfortunately, I will mention the C word a few times in this presentation, COVID. It's the first time since, even last year when we did it in 2022, it was affected by Victoria and New South Wales being in lockdown. So we've actually got figures now that are clean. There's no government rules. There's no things getting in the way. So we understand that people like working from home, but I think before we get too deep into it, we'll have to set the scene as to how many people we have working from home, why we've still got so many people working from home, and if that will ever change. So to begin with, last year when we asked this question, we had 76% of people working from home on any given day, which is not surprising considering rules in place at the time, etc. We know that markets, financial institutions, etc., want to get people back into CBDs. You only have to walk around and see places that are shut down. They want people in here spending money, buying sandwiches, buying coffee, buying drinks, etc. At the moment, when we've asked it, we're back down to 57%, which may not be a surprise to you guys in the room, but it's actually higher than what was anticipated when we asked the question last year. We asked, how many people do you think will be working from home after COVID? And the answer then was 48%, so we're actually higher than what we anticipated. We've been thinking why that could be. There's probably a number of reasons, and we'll go through them in a moment. Is it better absenteeism? Are we better working from home? Can we just not get people to come into the office anymore? People enjoy the flexibility. They want to save costs, they save time, they save money. And people just demand it. So why do we still have so many people working from home? So to start with, absenteeism. I read a report on the weekend that said the Australian industry loses between $14 and $22 billion per year on sick leave, which is not a bad estimate when you've got $8 billion to leeway. So saving any percent on that is huge. Obviously that was the whole of Australia, not just this industry, but if you're saving money in that sense, that is huge. Interestingly, this has gone down from last year, so we're improving. People are not calling in sick as much when they are working from home. And you can see that on here. So interestingly as well, we've dropped from 6% to 1% on people who are actually calling in more when they're working from home. So again, is that human nature? Is that they don't want to be dragged back into the office if they seem to be pulling the wool over the eyes? And again, it's probably a lot of a human nature as into why people call in sick less when working from home. Is it days where they're not feeling too good? They think, I can actually manage to get downstairs, but I don't feel like getting on a train and a bus and going into the office. Is it days where you don't feel like they're 100% and you don't want to pass anything on to colleagues, but they can still sit in a computer in a room by themselves? Is it other things as well? Is it like the flexibility? So we know people, human nature again, take time off when they're not really sick. It may be for a doctor's appointment, it may be for a school event or a sports day or whatever it may be. Rather than doing that, they can actually be flexible. They don't have to commute to a city, come back in, come back out. So why could that be? So at the moment, we can see we've got more people than what we anticipated working from home. We've got them available more than what we ever did, but how are they working? There's no point having all these amazing people but not doing a useful job. So we asked senior leaders how people are performing at home, and 70% said they see no change in CSAT at all, and that's from the senior leaders side. So we've probably got better systems in place. People are more accustomed to it. The consumer's more used to speaking to someone who's actually at home, being the customer, being on the other end of the line. 62% of senior leaders said equally effective working from home as well. So again, we've got better systems in place. We've got knowledge management tools, workforce management tools, etc., where we're just definitely better at doing it. People have better environments and not sitting on the kitchen table. Most people have a dedicated space for working from home now. Technology has obviously been improved over the last few years to to get over the initial hurdle of working from home quickly to ramping that up. We did have to ask the question to the agents how they see themselves working from home. This answer hasn't changed at all from last year. They think they're more productive working from home by quite a considerable percent. Now, the problem, people working from home, I think it's 74% of agents said they would choose to work from home on any given day. But the big problem is, and when we've asked senior leaders, is how do we keep them engaged? We asked senior leaders what the biggest challenge was with people working from home. And the big thing for them was disconnection, employee engagement, and mental health. They were really not too concerned about technology, customer satisfaction, etc. It was all the human side again, which is interesting. Agents are demanding working from home, but it's the social distance and being away from people which actually gets people down. So we asked managers what they seen as the best ways of maintaining that employee engagement. Last year, the quiz was dying a slow death, and this year it's completely gone. No one wants to do a quiz tomorrow. One of the main things was increasing communication. So that was communication between the peers of people. So having easy tools to communicate with each other. They're going to miss that chat. They're going to miss the office break and chatting to the friends, seeing what they did on the weekend, what the plans are, etc. They want tools that are quick and easy to communicate. Likewise, increasing visibility to their direct team leaders, etc. So every conversation you have with your direct peer or your direct team leader is not going to be a formal one-on-one, once-a-month meeting. They actually want to have a quick, easy chat with team leaders when they can. So scheduling time in, having a normal conversation such as, again, what did you get up to, what are we doing, how am I going, just in a casual way, which you may normally have when you get caught in a lift with the boss or waiting for a coffee, whatever it may be. Flexible working was a huge one again. So people say, yes, I want to work from home more than coming into the office, but working from home doesn't mean being chained to your desk 9 till 5. You want to be flexible with that. You want shorter shifts. You want to be able to work in short sprints, change times, etc., do things on the fly. You want to be able to go to events. You want to take time off. You want to work hours that suit their life, not being stuck there for 8 hours in a go. Which is quite ironic because Anchor Days was also popular. Anchor Days being when agents have to come in or when team leaders have to come in on certain days. So whether that's once a month, a couple of times a month, certain teams coming in, doing events together, that's proved to be a really good way of getting people connected, getting people talking, meeting new people who may have joined the team that you wouldn't have a normal conversation with online. But if we're telling people we're going to be more flexible, etc., but then telling them when we come in, the next thing to cover is flexibility. So you'll see here on the figures from last year, we've dropped quite considerable, down to 17% on what we call full flexibility. Again, that will be heavily diluted because last year, even if a company wanted to, they had no choice. Likewise with the no flexibility. But has it totally gone? It hasn't really. What we're seeing is more of a move to the middle, so a bit of common sense, a bit of common ground between senior leaders, agents, businesses on when people come in, how often they come in, and how flexible their shift can be. So it's really good that we're seeing this. We're seeing improvements on that, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes over the next couple of years, but I'd imagine that's going to level out pretty much in the middle. But we've got all this, so at the moment we can see we've got more people working from home than what we expected. They're coming in more often, they're performing as well, or if not even better. But we've got more roles that are being applied because of this. One of the main ones in the overwhelming response was WFM roles, so workforce management roles. So you can't do all this rostering on Excel sheets, etc. You've got to have an expert in, you've got to be able to really define this and improve the business in that way. The next one was operational support. So last year, team leaders overwhelmingly said they hated dealing with tech issues for people working from home. So headsets, the internet's not working, I need to do a Microsoft update, whatever it may be. They absolutely hated it. So now we've got dedicated roles where people are there as that operational point of contact, getting it more smoother, keeping the team leaders able to do what they want to do. Training and development was next up. So again, totally different type of role, and that goes from new starters and people developing in the business. So with new starters, you can't train them in the house, you can't go around, you can't tell them to sit on a buddy's shoulder who lives 2 kilometers away. You've got to be able to do it differently. Likewise, with developments, contact centres, as you know, people work their way up. It's a good career path for people who are dedicated. But how do you find the people who want to do that when they're not standing out in the crowd? So we've seen development roles where people are really engaged on developing people working from home. Oops, I must have brought that screen, it's gone off. And then designated work from home team leaders as well. So team leaders for people working from home is totally different to having people in front of you. You've got to read the room differently. You've got to be able to check in. You've got to have short chats with them. You've got to be more approachable. It's a different type of role. Even monitoring their performance is totally different. You've got to key in. You've got to get a good sense of how it's going. So our key findings this year are that we've got more people working from home than what we expected. This will be really interesting on how this goes next year. We have asked the question, how it's going to go next year. Predicted to drop by about 17%. Whether that happens or not, I'm not too sure. You'll have to come back next year and buy tickets to see how that goes. We've got a big move to middle on flexibility. So, as I mentioned before, common sense, people are using it. We're allowing people to work when they want, where they want, within reason, with a good bit of give and take. And the absentee rate is improving. So the guys are going to go in more detail on absenteeism, but if we can continue to improve that, the cost savings, the lack of disruption, etc., is a huge find. And that'll be interesting to see how that goes over the next few years as human nature comes in and we're well settled into this environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Daniel's presentation is also available in subtitles, if you struggle with his wonderful accent.
I think we're going to come up on the side.
Daniel, we've got about 15 questions in 3 minutes, so thank you for everyone who's putting them in. Elliot has asked, Elon Musk, I haven't seen him here, I don't think he's here, so recently came out saying that remote working is morally wrong. What are the biggest threats, do you think, to long-term hybrid working arrangements? Is it just that old school attitude?
I'm not sure. He's got a couple more dollars than me, so we may know a bit more. I don't know. I think most people, common sense, most people are more trusting with it, with working from home. I'm not sure. Morally wrong seems a bit harsh.
It is very harsh, isn't it? We've got one here from Luke. How do you think remote work will affect the geographic distribution of talent and job opportunities in the future?
Yeah, good question. Obviously now you can hire from anywhere. Job opportunities, you can be anywhere in the country for it. So distribution-wise, you're probably seeing centres that are across the nation now rather than being stuck in one place or one area. So yeah, I'm not sure how we'll go with in terms of obviously different places having different wages, how that will balance out, because probably a bit of a move to the middle on that sense.
Pavel asks, with the cost of living going up, how do you see this impacting work from home for agents?
Yeah, good one. I'd imagine most people would want to work from home a lot more. Don't have to put fuel in the car, don't have to travel, don't have the temptation of buying stuff at the other end. If they're saving $20, $30 a day and you can work from home, every penny counts.
Yep. And we'll go with one last question. Thank you, everyone, for sending them through. Jason said, we're starting to see CEOs force a return to offices, and some of you might have seen that this week. The NAB Bank have asked senior staff to come back, and there's thought that they're going to ask all staff to come back at least 4 days of the week. Will this speed up the death of work from home, and do I need to mow my lawns on the weekend instead of lunchtime on Monday now?
Yeah, good question. I've got artificial grass, so I'm not sure. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you guess if it's driven from the top, but agents have got the power, people have got the power for jobs, and if they demand working from home, the lower levels might be harder to pull back in. Management, etc., could be easy to get back on board.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to thank Daniel from Max Contact.